Good morning, my friends. It is Friday. It is May 29th, 2020. Next week, it will be June. Can you believe it? I have no idea what happened to the months of April and March and May. It seems like I blinked and they all ran away. Tadpole is full of something this morning. He had to take baby Gary with him outside to go to the bathroom. He just tried to bite my hand. Silly dog. All right, so today's word of the day is method. And a method is the way you do something. So you could think about mom's method for cleaning might be to dust first and then vacuum. Your method for washing the dishes might be to put them all in the sink, add some soapy water, wipe all the dishes, rinse them, dry them, put them away. So I want you to think today about what different methods of things that you do every day. It could be as simple as how you get dressed in the morning. There's always a way that you do something, like I always do my hair first and then get dressed. That's my method. It's kind of wet and all over the place, but it is what it is today. All right, so today we're going to start with some books, and these are new books, new stories, and it's a chapter book, so we aren't going to be able to read the whole thing. I think you can see how wide that is. And this is Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride. Mercy Watson is actually the pig, and Mr. and Mrs. Watson are their owners. And it says in the back, the sneak peek, every Saturday, Mercy and Mr. Watson go for a ride in Mr. Watson's convertible. But one Saturday, things take a surprising turn and a certain someone ends up behind the wheel. And you'll notice here that this one has a medal on it. So this is the Theodore Seuss Geisel Honor Book. So that means it's a Dr. Seuss honor book. So they kind of, an award-winning author. Kate DiCamillo has a lot of books. I actually just read one of hers the other day. And she writes books from little kid books to big kid books. So it's kind of cool. So we'll take a look and see what happens in our Mercy Watson book. And I really like it because I like the pictures that are in these books. I'll turn the computer so you can see a little bit better. Chapter 1. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson have a pig named Mercy. Every Saturday, Mrs. Watson makes a special lunch. Time for our little Saturday something, Mrs. Watson says. You've outdone yourself, Mrs. Watson, Mr. Watson says. Oink, says Mercy. You're like a little bunny cake. Bunny something. Spray cheese. Every Saturday after lunch, Mr. Watson goes outside. Mercy follows him. They stand in the driveway. Together, they admire Mr. Watson's convertible. Are you ready? asks Mr. Watson. Oink, says Mercy. Mr. Watson opens the passenger door. Mercy hops into the car. She sits behind the wheel, and she snuffles contentedly. Chapter 2. says Mr. Watson every Saturday. You, my dear, are a porcine wonder, but even a porcine wonders cannot drive cars. Mr. Watson gently pushes Mercy toward the passenger seat, but Mercy does not move. She does not want to sit in the passenger seat. Mercy Watson wants to drive. says Mr. Watson again. He pushes less gently. Scoot over, my dear. Mercy does not move. Help me, Mr. Watson calls out. Every Saturday, Mrs. Watson steps outside. Darling, Mrs. Watson says, if you would just let Mr. Watson drive, I'll make you an extra helping of hot buttered toast. That's her favorite food. I'll have it waiting for you when you get back home. Mercy narrows her eyes. She loves hot buttered toast. She also loves extra helpings. Slowly, very slowly, she moves over to the passenger side. What a dear, says Mrs. Watson. She claps her hands. You are such a good sport, darling. Yes, says Mr. Watson. She most certainly is. He gets into the car and sits behind the wheel. He turns the key in the ignition. The Watsons' convertible rumbles to life. Chapter 3. Bon voyage, Mrs. Watson calls. Bon voyage, my dears. When you get home, we will all have hot buttered toast. Goodbye, Mrs. Watson, Mr. Watson shouts. Tapple looks like he's just no good over there. He backs the car out of the driveway very quickly. He does not look behind him. Mr. Watson is a forward-looking man. He does not believe in looking back. Oink, says Mercy. Already she is having a good time. And we're off, says Mr. Watson. We're off on an adventure. Chapter 4. I'll read 2 more. I'll read up to chapter 5. Eugenia Lincoln and baby Lincoln live next door to the Watsons. Every Saturday, the Lincoln sisters watch Mercy and Mr. Watson back out of the driveway. Every Saturday, Eugenia is displeased. Mr. Watson is a very bad driver, she says. He is a menace behind the wheels. She's always cranky in all of the Mercy Watson books. Yes, sister, says baby. Furthermore, says Eugenia, it is my very firm opinion that pigs should not be taken for rides in automobiles, particularly that pig. That pig is a sly pig. I do not trust her. No, sister, says baby. Baby looks down the road. The car has disappeared. Tapple, no. Sorry, he's trying to steal paper and eat it. Mr. Watson and Mercy are gone. Folly, says Eugenia Lincoln. She shakes her fist. It is folly, I say. Yes, sister, says baby. But secretly, baby Lincoln thinks that a little folly wouldn't be a bad thing. Chapter 5. One Saturday, Mrs. Watson made a special lunch. After lunch, Mr. Watson and Mercy went outside. Everything happened just as it always did every Saturday on Deckawoo Drive. What folly, said Eugenia Lincoln as usual. What nonsense. She paused. Eugenia waited for baby to say, yes, sister. But baby said nothing. Baby said nothing because baby was not there. And that is where we will stop. It looks like the policeman comes next chapter. We'll work on finishing that on Monday. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend and enjoy the weather. It is supposed to be sunny and warm, a little cooler than last weekend, but still plenty warm to play outside and have a great time. Make sure you are staying safe and washing your hands and healthy. I love you, and I will hopefully see you soon. Air hugs for everybody.